Hi guys, here is an Angst to Fluff series featuring TsukiHina. Enjoy! Disclaimer: I do not own the haiku characters that are to be used in this story. Photos or covers were picked from Google. Credits to the owner.
When you meet the right person, it's like time stops. It's like in the movies where the protagonist found his leading man in slow motion. It is like you and him or her were the only people in the world. Shōyō wasn't a hopeless romantic type. Not at all, but he wished to have a fruitful, happy life with his soulmate as he stared at the small soulmate mark on his left chest. In a world where everyone has their soulmate mark engraved on any part of their body indicating each other pair. He faintly smiles as he traces the mark with his finger. He sighed and dressed for the day. He still has school after all, and he will get scolded by Kageyama once he gets late again. When he headed downstairs, he was met with silence. As always, since he lives at this house with his secret husband, Tsukishima Kei. Yes, they got married secretly at the end of their last year in middle school. It was a marriage of convenience for their family business, or at least for Tsukishima's family business. They were almost bankrupt by then, but with the help of the Hinata family, their business became stable again. Their father agreed to tie the knot between the only son of the Hinata family and the youngest son of the Tsukishima, so the debt would be paid. At first, Shōyō was elated when he heard it. After all, he had a crush since he met Kei whenever their families had gatherings. But slowly, that happiness fades. When they got married, they had their own house. It was a gift from Shōyō's parents. They had dinner with both families in their new house. Kei caters to all Shōyō's needs during dinner. With all smiles, Shōyō was on cloud 9. "We are heading now," Kei's mom said. Kei holds Shōyō's waist as he replies, "Okay, Mom, Dad. Take care." Shōyō's mom holds Kei's other hand as she says, "Please take good care of my son, okay?" "I will, Mother," Kei politely replied. "Bye, Mom and Dad." "Bye Mama, Papa," Shōyō enthusiastically said. As their parents' car faded into view, Kei immediately removed his hand on Shōyō and headed inside. Shōyō looked at the ground and took a deep breath. He chooses to ignore that feeling as he heads inside. As Shōyō closes the front door, Kei speaks. "Hinata." Shōyō froze at his spot, and the cold voice of Kei made him scared to face the person. He gulped and slowly looked in Kei's direction. "This marriage should remain secret," he bluntly said with an expressionless face. He continued, "Whenever we are outside, we are strangers. We don't know each other. We will not interfere with each other's affairs. If our parents visit us, that will be the time we act as a married couple. Do you understand, Hinata?" Shōyō stared at him. Even Kei had an expressionless face. His eyes were full of fury. Disgust. A low tug in his chest jolts him in his daze. He looked at the ground and simply nodded in agreement. "Okay, good. I'll take the furthest room. Good night." Shōyō looks at Kei as the latter heads upstairs. Shōyō sighed as he thought, maybe he was just scared of the other's judgment. He took his suitcase and headed to the next room from Kei's. As per their agreement, they act like strangers outside their house. They both went to Karasuno High. Shōyō always heads out earlier than Kei, so no one will get suspicious that they live in the same house. He wakes up extra early so he can prepare some breakfast and bentos for them. They were acquainted when they both joined the volleyball club. That's when Shōyō met Yamaguchi Tadashi, the childhood friend of Kei. Shōyō easily took notice of the closeness of Kei and Tadashi. Well, they're best friends after all. So he just ignored it. It was his 16th birthday when the soulmate mark appeared. A simple crescent moon with a firefly engraved on his chest. He was quite happy as he realized that his soulmate was no other than his husband, Tsukishima Kei. He was about to tell Kei, but when he looked at the clock, it was almost time for him to leave the house. "I'll just tell him later." The bell rang, indicating it was already lunch break. Shōyō jumps from his seat, takes his bento, and heads out of his classroom when he bumps into Kageyama. "Ouch. Hey, watch it, dumbass." Where are you going? Kageyama asked. Sorry, I'm heading somewhere. I won't have lunch with you today. Sorry again, Kageyama, Shōyō said as he rapidly walked away. Shōyō walks towards Kei's classroom. He looks inside, looking for the blonde boy, but sees no one. He looked at the hallway and saw retreating figures of Kei and Yamaguchi heading downstairs. Shōyō followed them until they headed to the back of the school where the garden was located. He was about to call Kei when the two slowly intertwined their fingers. Shōyō stared as Kei intimately kissed Yamaguchi's temple as they headed inside the garden. For a long moment, Shōyō just stared at the entrance of the garden. He felt the same tug in his chest as before, but this time, it was way stronger. It hurts. In a daze, he aimlessly walked back into the hallway, heading to the rooftop. Kageyama was about to eat when the door on the rooftop slammed open. He was about to scold the person, but when he saw Shōyō's face, he became worried. Shōyō continued to walk towards Kageyama and sat beside him and started to open his bento. Hey, Hinata, what's wrong? Kageyama asked. Shōyō didn't reply. Kageyama just stared at him. He hated how Shōyō looked now, expressionless but broken. Hey, dumbass, look at me. Why are you crying? Shōyō snapped out of his daze. He touched his cheek and found out that indeed he was crying. I don't know. Seriously, it's nothing. Let's eat, Shōyō replied as he took his chopsticks and started to eat. Kageyama stared intently at his friend. Tears still flow from his eyes as he eats. Kageyama wanted to help. He hates it to see his friend so sad like this. Stop staring at me, please, Shōyō said. It was quite normal for them to call out each other, but the tone Shōyō uses this time is not teasing. It was more likely pleading. Kageyama averted his gaze and whispered, sorry. It was Kei's 16th birthday. It was also the day that Kei had his soulmate mark. Shōyō's anxiety was as high as the roof. He doesn't know how Kei will react. Will he be happy to know that I'm his soulmate? He chuckled as he thought to himself. Of course, not. He stared at the gift he had prepared for Kei. It's just a dino plushie, a rare one. To be added to Kei's collection of dino plushies. He took a deep breath and headed out of his room. He knocks on Kei's room, and the latter opens the door. Happy birthday, Kei, he sweetly smiled as he gave his gift. Kei took the gift and said, thanks. Anything else? What do you want to eat? Shōyō asked. Nothing. I'm heading out with Tadashi, Kei flatly replied. Oh, okay. Shōyō looks at the ground. That's when he took notice of Kei's ankle, his soulmate mark. An outline of the sun. Kei nods and shuts the door. Kei never mentioned anything about the soulmate mark, but he became meaner to Shōyō. Before, he allowed to have soft music in the house whenever Shōyō was assigned to clean, but all of a sudden, he did not allow it. Shōyō was scheduled to clean the house that day. He was swiping the floor while humming to music when Kei walked towards the living room and aggressively turned off the music. Hey, shut the fuck up. I don't want any noise when I'm here, do you hear me? Kei angrily said as he walked back to his room. He whispered, how long should I suffer from this marriage? Shōyō just sighed as he continued cleaning. It's fine, Shōyō. It's not fine. It was their lunch break, and Shōyō roamed around first when he saw it. Kei threw away the contents of the bento box he prepared for him that morning. How I wish I was rich like Tsukishima. I could throw away the food if I didn't like it, one of Kei's classmates said. Why would you? The food has gone to waste. It's been a year since he did that, the other one replied. Yeah, at least he should tell his mom not to prepare bentos if he doesn't want to eat it, you know. He stood still as he stared blankly at the trash can. The words repeatedly in his head. The food has gone to waste. It's been a year since he has always done that. Yeah, at least he should tell his mom not to prepare bentos if he doesn't want to eat it, you know. He remembered that whenever he asked Kei about his bento, he just always said, it was good. Or, a little salty. He always throws it out. He never tasted it. Dejected, he walks towards the rooftop. Dumbass, what took you so long? Kageyama scolded him, and when he looked at Shōyō, he didn't bring his lunch with him. "Where is your lunch? I'm not hungry," he whispered as he sat beside Kageyama and closed his eyes. Kageyama watched Shōyō's every move as he silently ate. "Want some?" he offered. Shōyō just shook his head as he opened his eyes, and stared blankly into space. For a couple of minutes, they've been enveloped by uncomfortable silence. If I am your soulmate, will you hate me?" "Of course," Kageyama straightforwardly answers. He chuckled. "Yeah, right, I'm the worst," he whispered as he sobbed. Panic roused from Kageyama as he heard the sob. "Hey, you know I was joking. Yeah, don't mind me." Shōyō lay down on the floor and covered his eyes with his arms. Tears continued to flow from his eyes. Lost his appetite, Kageyama set aside his bento. He pats Shōyō's head, comforting the latter. "No one will ever hate a person like you, Hinata," Kageyama started. "Except Kei," Shōyō thought. "Especially your soulmate. They'll instantly love you," Kageyama continues. He just bitterly smiled as he agreed. "Yeah. Have you met them?" Kageyama asked. He shook his head and lied. "No." "Then don't think too much, dumbass. Why have your emotions been quite uncontrollable for a long time now? Say." He sits up. "If I prepared you a bento, will you eat it?" Shōyō said as he stared at his friend with a desperate look. Kageyama frowned. "You always shared your bento with me, dumbass. Have you forgotten? And you always say," and I quote, he mimics Shōyō's voice, "I'm the one who always prepared my bento. Try it, Kageyama, try it." Shōyō chuckled at his friend's antics. Yeah. But, if you'll offer a whole bento for me, I'll greatly accept it," Kageyama blushes as admits. "After all, your bentos were the best compared to what I prepared." "Really? So, it will be one win for me." "Wow, what? No, dumbass." Shōyō laughs. Shōyō continues to prepare a bento for Kei until the end of second year in high school. Kageyama already noticed it, from the very beginning. How the resident sunshine of the Karasuno's volleyball club, which was always dimmed when no one was around, falls in love with that beanpole. He doesn't even need to ask Hinata who or what its soulmate mark looks like. He already knows that Hinata's soulmate is no other than Tsukishima Kei. So in their third year, he almost flipped when Tsukishima confessed to Yamaguchi in front of everyone. In front of Hinata, he looked at Hinata as the latter cheered, smiled, and laughed as Yamaguchi said yes. Fake. Too fake. Shōyō was in his room, staring at his calendar. 200 days. He counts. He counts the days until their third anniversary. He counted the days when he could finally break their marriage. Where he can finally set Tsukishima Kei free from this burden. The faint pain caused by his soulmate mark was still there. He already knew that the tug in his chest before was from his soulmate mark. Betrayal. Silent rejection. The consistent tugging in his chest represents those two. He has done his research about the soulmate mark. Everything about it. When both parties have their soulmate mark, and they're already met, their marks will automatically make a bond. Shōyō got scared when he learned about the bond. The pros and cons of it. He was mostly scared about the consequences when the bond broke. If both parties agree to break the bond, the pain will be tolerated but both parties will be numb. Not just from physical feelings but also from emotional ones. Shōyō doesn't want to Kei feel that. He wants Kei to be happy even if it wasn't for him. So he continues to love Kei until he can. Until he numbs. He'll shoulder all the pain for Kei. So as he stared at the calendar and on the text message that Kei sent to him. "I'm not going home today." That's when it finally sinks in. Total rejection. And he heard it. Snap. The sound of a rope broke echoes in his ears as pain emerged from his chest. It was too painful for him to ignore. He gripped his chest tightly as he tried to ease it but to no avail. It is like he is having a heart attack. He can't breathe. Am I going to die?
To be continued. If you like this video, consider subscribing by clicking the subscribe button. Bye!